Good morning, Kirsten Howe. How are you?
I'm fine. Good morning. How are you, Dayna?
I'm doing great. Hey, for those that are watching this, I'm Dayna Wilson with Keller Williams Realty, and I'm a local seniors real estate specialist. And I am so excited to have Kirsten on my ProSpot today. She is a local great, and I just wanted to ask her a couple questions. And the first one being, it looks like Proposition 19 is going to pass. So what do you recommend people do about that?
Sure. So I am an estate planning attorney. So this is like exactly right up our alley, and we're going to be dealing with it. We've already been talking to clients even before Election Day about what are we going to do if this thing passes. So I guess I have to start by just explaining the difference between what the law used to be and what the law probably will be in February if this officially passes, and it looks like it will.
Great.
It used to be that a parent could transfer to a child real estate and that property taxes would not go up. There was a limit to it. You could transfer your personal residence and you could transfer up to $1 million of other property. That could be rental property, could be vacation, could be, commercial, whatever, up to $1 million of assessed value. Now with low assessments, that could cover a lot of properties. You could transfer your personal residence and a bunch of other rental properties to your children when you die, and their property taxes wouldn't go up. What Prop 19 is going to change is they're going to limit that exclusion to the reassessment. In other words, the property taxes will go up on everything except the parent's personal residence being transferred to the child who will also live in it as their personal residence. That's it. We don't have the ability to move any other real estate without the property taxes going up.
Right.
And that's a big deal for a lot of people, especially in the rental property space. Rental properties need to make money. Otherwise, why would you have them?
Of course.
And if suddenly your overhead goes up because your property taxes go up and now you're not really making any money anymore, or you're not making enough money to make it worthwhile. It's not fun to be a landlord. You want it at least to pay. So what people are considering doing, and I think that if this passes, I will have a bunch of clients doing it, is making those transfers now, transferring them to your children now under the current law before the new Prop 19 kicks in February.
Let me ask you a quick question then, as a realtor. So if they were to list their property immediately, it would have to close escrow by when?
Well, the transfer, the new law comes into effect February 15th, I think, or 16th. It's right, one of those two dates. So yeah, they'd have to, if they're selling it to their child, I think that's what you're talking about. If they're selling it to their child, they've got to close escrow by that date.
Got it.
And some people will do that. Some people are just going to make gifts. So it'll be like, we're going to just move your inheritance forward. We're going to give you part of your inheritance right now. And I think I will have a lot of clients doing that.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, and that was a really interesting proposition because all the advertisements we saw on TV were focused on the transfer of your property taxes. They didn't talk about the second half of the proposition. It really should have been two separate things.
Yeah, but that was the sugar that made the medicine go down.
Yeah, because half of it's this way and half of it's that way.
Exactly.
Depending on who you are and your real estate.
Right. And actually, this does a lot of things, and you and I could sit here probably all day and talk about, the global effect of it, but it's gonna probably free up a lot of real estate, and instead of it staying in families forever and ever and ever and passing down the generations. So that's a good thing for your industry. There's going to be more inventory perhaps. And in theory, it's going to result in more property taxes, which our governments certainly could use.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
no question about that.
No, I totally agree. I mean, believe me, we have an extreme lack of inventory right now. It depends on the neighborhood. Some neighborhoods, actually, it's the same amount it was a year ago. So it's really not that much less, but in some it's
really tight.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. So what other actions do you see clients taking in response to the recent election?
Well, we're talking today on November 12th, so the election was just 9 days ago, but and nothing is final yet.
True. Yeah.
Taking
a while.
You might have heard that. But assuming that there is a Biden administration, which is a pretty safe assumption, anything I'm talking about is speculation, but there's a lot of it out there. People think that most likely a Biden administration will at least attempt to change the estate and gift tax laws, and probably the income tax laws too, but that's a little less of a concern in the estate planning world. We can focus on the estate and gift tax. So just as background, when you die, you have a certain amount of exemption value that you can leave to whoever you choose to, and you don't have to pay taxes on it. Right now, that value, that number is very, very high. It's over $11.5 million. $11.5 million. I didn't enunciate it. So it's very, very high. So most people don't worry about estate taxes. But the Democrats have long talked about reducing that number and maybe down to a number as low as $3.5 million. So if that were to happen, many more people would be in that estate tax net, you know, especially if you own real estate in the Bay Area.
In California, yeah, right here.
Right. So, so that will start. People are already looking at making same as when we were just talking about Prop 19, making transfers now. You know, if my kids are going to inherit this from me anyway, maybe I should just make the transfer now while I still have $11.5 million of gift tax exemption, because the gift and the estate exemption are the same. It's the same pot. While I still have 11.5, maybe I should make these, go ahead and accelerate those inheritances. So we're seeing, especially for very wealthy people, who can afford to give away $11.5 million while they're still alive. We're seeing that as a very serious consideration. And one thing we know, you know, we don't know what the Biden administration is going to do. We do know that at the end of 2025, that exemption amount is going down. That's the law. It's going down to maybe about $6.5 million. So even before the election, people were talking about, well, maybe we should take advantage now and accelerate those inheritances.
Interesting. You're going to be a busy beaver. You're going to be very busy.
Well, you know, yeah, exactly. Every time they change the laws, it means somebody's going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, and we all have to relook at our trusts and wills and
how we're doing things,
finances and our taxes, and get together with our trusted advisors. So real quickly to wrap things up, you know, we've had this little goofy thing called the pandemic that hit us all. So we're all living the COVID dream here. But what's been happening in estate planning in regards to that? You know, just real quickly.
Well, primarily it caused a lot of people to really get serious about estate planning. I would say particularly in like the early days, April and May, people were panic stricken. There was so much anxiety. We just didn't know. We had no idea what this disease was. We didn't know how to deal with it. We didn't know how to prevent it.
Right.
And people were just coming out of the woodwork. Everybody knows estate planning is important, but most people don't feel that it's urgent. But this made it feel really urgent. And so we were just slammed, and we were working so hard to get all of this stuff done. And now things have settled down. People, I think they feel less anxious. I think also they're kind of just tired of it, and maybe it doesn't feel as compelling anymore. So business is more back to normal is what I would say.
Yeah. Well, and I can hardly wait until everything is back to normal, but who knows if we'll ever have our old normal? Because I think for a long while, we're still going to have whatever this new normal is and just deal with it the best we can. And I know your business, like mine, everything we do is focused on the health and safety of our clients, bottom line. That comes first and foremost. So Kirsten, thank you for your time. I know you're busy. I mean, obviously, we just talked about all the things that are keeping you busy. So thanks for being on my ProSpot. Again, I'm Dayna Wilson with Keller Williams Realty here in the San Francisco East Bay. And again, Kirsten Howe with Absolute Trust Counsel, excellent estate planning, elder law advisor, and advocate for all of us here. So with that, I will wish you a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dayna.